Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon and good morning to you, wherever you might be joining us from here today for the Maximizing Efficiency in Order Processing with Spire and EDI Challenges and Solutions with our friends at EDI Gateway. My name is Katie Griffin. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Spire. I hope you're all doing well on this Thursday, the 12th of June, already halfway through June. I can't believe it, folks. I'm so pleased to be joined by the good folks at EDI Gateway here today. Harry and Sharon, how are you? How's it going, guys?
Good, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good,
Very
good.
excited
Enjoying.
about the presentation.
Yeah, it's excited for you to be here. I'm excited for you guys to be here as well. So just before we get things going, a little bit of housekeeping here, folks. If I could ask you to raise your virtual hand, you have a little virtual hand on your GoToWebinar panel that you can hear my voice and see my housekeeping slide. Thank you, Adam and Amy, and thank you, Shelly and Scott and Roxanne. Look at that, ask and you shall receive. Thanks, everybody. I'm gonna lower your virtual hand. This is a series of podcast-style webinars. Why are they podcast-style webinars? Well, they're a combination of demonstration and conversation and thought-provoking concepts and topics that will hopefully help you walk away with something useful. We have a wide variety of guests in the audience here today. So some of you are not yet using Spire. Some of you are very new to Spire. Some of you perhaps are very seasoned in your uses of Spire every day. And so we're going to do our best to offer a little bit of information that should be helpful to each and every one of you. You can imagine how much of a challenge that might be, but you'll either walk away with something completely new if you've never seen Spire, or if you're, again, a pro at Spire, maybe some ideas for you to take back to the office and put into consideration. Hopefully you'll be able to think outside of the box, because when you're in it, in the day-to-day, sometimes it's hard to see the forest for the trees, as they say. So I invite you to think outside the box and try to step outside of your norm to think about how this can help your organization. We're definitely going to talk about some best practice, some tips in Spire. I'm going to show you some things that are fundamental at a ground level in Spire that will be what essentially opens the gateway to a successful EDI implementation, no pun intended, you guys. And of course, if you do want more information, I encourage you to reach out to your Spire partner. If you are a Spire customer, you have worked closely with your Spire partner on many projects, and they can help you with any questions that you have here today. And if you don't have a Spire partner, you're more than welcome to reach out to us here at Spire, and we'll connect you with one, or find your partner if you don't know who they are by any chance. Okay, so we'll get the show on the road. I want to talk to you a little bit about some challenges with inefficiencies in order processing, because as we're going to get into the topic of EDI, the foundation is clean, efficient order processing. And so what are some of the challenges that Spire customers, or before they became Spire customers, face when we talk about efficiency in the order processing part? Well, one of the biggest things is inaccuracies in inventory. You know, manual or poorly integrated ordering systems lead to huge discrepancies between actuals and what is recorded, what's available in terms of inventory in the warehouse. And this can cause over-promising to customers, running out of stock. It can damage your credibility, which we all know your reputation is gold. That's what keeps your customers coming back. Another challenge that we often see is delays in order fulfillment. And when order processing is slow, or there's a kink in your processes, this can lead extended time on the fulfillment, on the delivery of the order. And these delays obviously can hit revenue consequences as well, and again, be frustrating to your customers. Another effect of inefficient order processing is the high operational costs. I mean, here at Spire, when we look at projects, we always ask ourselves, what are the operational costs associated to these projects? As should you in any kind of processes within your organization. But when it hits the order processing part, these inefficiencies require more staff to handle the repetitive or minutia-like error-prone tasks, such as data entry or duplicate data entry, picking, packing, confirming of POs, confirming of ship notices. If you're doing these things manually and there's errors or discrepancies, this is costing your organization money. And then poor visibility and tracking. Without streamlined processes, without tight phases and processes, tracking real-time status on orders, not only can this cause bottlenecks in production and fulfillment, but you have no true visibility. Your reporting will be skewed. Your reporting will be off as well, whether those reports are coming directly from Spire or a third-party integration like EDI Gateway. As they say, garbage in, garbage out, right? And then customer service issues, which I touched on a little bit earlier. I mean, this has to be one of the most important things. Inconsistent order data, missed shipments, incorrect deliveries, not respecting how customers like to place their orders. Maybe they absolutely have to have a PO. Maybe that needs to be confirmed for an order before it gets invoiced or shipped. You want to appeal to your customers and you want them coming back. And an unhappy customer can result in more than just a poor Google review, right? So those are the issues. And how do we streamline these issues and make them better in order to have a seamless EDI integration? Because again, if your foundation is rocky, that house you're building on top of it is going to topple over one day. So what does that mean? What should you be looking at before you look at an integration? Well, cleaning up any kind of inventory data, ensuring that your records are accurate, up to date, aligned across your system, whether it's in inventory with maybe an integration that you have, or perhaps in the product itself. Consistent codes and consistent descriptions are very, very important. But when your inventory data is cleaned up, this can help avoid errors and mismatches on the EDI side of it. When we talk about what else you could do, standardized and automation fulfillment, streamlining your picking and your packing and your shipping processes with consistent workflow like phases and processes inside can help meet the EDI timing needs and compliance demands that come with that type of solution. When we talk about integrated systems, yes, EDI is one of them, but it may not be the only one. You may have a CRM, you may have a warehouse management solution. So connecting all the critical platforms in a way that there's a nice flow between them and eliminating that manual entry can really help avoid delays actually and avoid any kind of distortion during the EDI transactions. And then making sure that your team has real-time visibility, right? Is your team able to look at reports and dashboards and alerts in order to monitor order statuses, inventory levels? Do they have access into your EDI web, your EDI portal, in order to make sure that things are flowing properly? And then I think the last and most important thing, whether we're talking about Spire or we're talking about EDI Gateway or we're talking about any Microsoft product as well, invest in your team, invest in the learning. You know, I'm somebody who believes that education is ongoing. It's not something that ends. And when you empower your team with knowledge and tools, then they're that much better at their job, including how to work with EDI, because the kind folks at EDI Gateway who are the experts know so much more about it than I do, but I think we can all agree it's a fairly complex topic. So a few little things I want to point out before I jump into Spire here. There's some internal policies and maybe procedures that you want to make sure that you have, especially when it comes to EDI. Maybe there's POs and ASNs and invoices and inventory updates. If you're working with organizations like Sobeys and Loblaws, Canadian Tire, Walmart, Home Depot, Costco, Johnson & Johnson, Amazon for the vendor part of it, Wayfair, if you're in the automotive industry, GM, Ford, these are all organizations that demand the use of EDI. And so understanding their policies and their procedures is important while making sure that yours are respected as well. I think phases are so important when you're talking about order management, especially within Spire, and we're going to touch on that in just a little bit. But different types of orders require different phases, and you want to make sure if you have a standing order, a repeating order, that those phases are able to restart every time that standing order repeats itself. And again, I mentioned codes briefly before, but the naming convention of codes is hugely important, and that they have meaning of some kind, right? Alphanumeric codes are pretty standard throughout any ERP when we talk about vendors, customers, inventory items, but consistency so that you don't have people just creating codes off the fly that don't match your naming convention. This can make it difficult for integrations that way. And then colors. I think people underestimate the power of colors. And colors actually activate the frontal cortex of your brain as a mechanism to help us organize information that we're looking at. And you'll see in Spire in just a little bit how that can help you, again, at that fundamental level. We talk about user permissions are very important. Not everybody should have access to everything or permissions to trigger certain phases or approvals that may need to be in play. Perhaps you have processes that require a review and an authorization. This is where batches can be helpful. And in Spire at the subledger level, you can do that. I'll show you that in just a little bit. Again, those approval processes and automation of workflows as well as something that you can consider. We have a little bit of that in Spire, and I'm going to jump in right now and show you how that all works. Hey, Sharon, can you confirm that you can see? No, you can't yet. I know what you're looking at. One second. And here we go. Can you see my Spire, Sharon?
Yes.
Perfect, thanks for that. So Spire, for those of you who haven't seen it before or you're very new to it, it is multi-company, multi-warehouse, multi-location, multi-user, multi-currency, and multilingual. Okay, so Spire comes in English, en français, and in español también. So whatever workstation you're at, you can have that in one of those three preferred languages. I'm going to go ahead and select this database as it is my preferred sample database. And I'm going to start off in the sales module here. And what I'd like for you to pay attention to just quickly is there's quite a few columns here, but you have so many columns to choose from in terms of what you'd like to be able to see. This is what we call the grid, and every module is developed this way. The UI is the same in every module. And you'll notice that I can drag these columns over to suit how I prefer to work throughout the course of the day. One thing that's really nice in Spire as well is the ability to create user-defined fields. Now, these would be fields that perhaps don't exist in Spire that you yourself require in your business, in your day-to-day function of using the ERP. And here you can see UDFs. I've created many of them. We've created a return approval process in my sample database, and I can choose to have all of that here. So I want RMA approval column, send RMA, proof of return, the return method, return received, if there's a late fee associated with that. And you can see that not only can I see these UDF columns, but they also display in the name that I've given them, and not UDF1, UDF2, UDF3, etc. So I think that that's a nice little feature. Over here on the left-hand side is the Spire menu. Spire is a modular integrated system. And so you'll see here under sales, I have some saved filters. Filters are global, they are universal throughout Spire, so every module has the ability to filter. And as you might guess, what you're filtering is different queries of data, of parameters within the module that you're looking for. So for example, I have a filter here that is for back orders. I can simply create the filters parameters by using these different queries that I have and be able to select a more condensed view of what might be appropriate for my job. Here I've got just a couple to show you that these are purchase orders that need to be approved before they go out, okay? And why is that? Well, I wanted to give you a bit of an example. I came across a situation one day where a customer said to me, we have a purchase order required for any orders coming from this customer, but unfortunately, somebody gave them an erroneous PO and they weren't able to confirm that or validate that. And so now the customer won't pay the bill because somebody just put 1, 2, 3, 4 in there. And I said, well, that's a real shame. And so I've kind of developed a little bit of a way here that you can go around that, okay? And so It's through phases, and I'll jump in phases in a little bit. But so here we have a few orders that do require a PO approval. As you can see the phase here, the code is PO approve. And when we do this, we can then kind of automate towards the next phase. And what will happen is automatically will pop up order confirmation for this customer. I'm going to preview that, and I'll open it, drill down a little bit here in a second so you can see further. You can see here that here is the PO confirmation for this customer. I actually want to show you this one. Let's go to next phase. My friends at A1 Park Equipment have some pretty strict stuff going on over there. So if I preview that order confirmation that I want to send to them, you'll see here, let me just open that up a little bit bigger for you. You'll see here that there's a special note that says, please confirm that the purchase order number assigned is accurate along with the order details. Orders will not be processed until confirmation is received. Now, this again was the customer that got the wrong PO number. And so if I go into sales, I've gone ahead and I've approved that now because I've gone through that process. If I go into sales, I'm going to create a new order for A1 Park and show you how that all happened. Okay, so here's my A1 Park equipment. You can see here that the PO required field is checked off. You see it in red. A PO number is required for this customer. And I can drill down into the customer directly from the sales order that I'm creating. And over here is all the customer's record and their details. If I go into billing, you'll be able to see here that I've checked off PO number is required. And that's what will enable that message to come up, and you won't be able to process the order without it. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you here was customer part numbers. This is actually interesting. You may have customers who request their own specific part numbers to appear on the invoice and not yours. And so you can go ahead and do that. And our friends here at A1 Park Equipment, you can see, have given us this number. And so we can go ahead and add those customer numbers one by one. Or we do have an import tool that allows you to do that as well. A very powerful import tool. I'm not going to get into it too closely, but here you have it, customer part numbers, and that can be uploaded if you have customers that are frequently changing their part numbers. So that can be helpful. So when the PO is entered here, that's great. I can now go ahead and start processing the order. I'm going to pick just one item here, and tab over, tab over. Now I can see that we've got some inventory that none is committed. Okay, I need to order about 5,001 of these puppies. Okay, but I want to see how many we have in stock. And just by hitting the show stock button, I'm able to see how many we have on hand, committed, back ordered, and on order. There's quite a few on order. I've been ordering a lot of these things lately. I can also do it for the accessory item. You can see that there's an accessory item that's always sold with that item, and you would set that up in inventory, and it will tell me what the stock is for the accessory item as well. Okay, and so I can go ahead and I can place that order, no problem, but maybe there are some other customer specific details that need to take place here. For example, you'll notice that it defaulted automatically to this warehouse. The Vancouver warehouse is where all shipments for this customer must go. Okay, and that's done again at the customer level. You would set a particular warehouse with that customer. So a lot of capability here. Now, how am I going to get that special note for the customer's order confirmation? If I go ahead and I open up that customer again, you'll see that communications exist within a customer. Communications exist all over Spire, within orders, within customers, vendors, tasks, everything. But if you want a customer specific communication, you would create that within the communications tab. So I'm going to go ahead and create a note here, and this will be PO confirmation. Pardon my typos, I'm famous for typos, but I want this to print, And I can choose on which document I would like that customer specific note to appear. As you saw earlier in the preview, please make sure the PO is correct. We won't process this order until confirmed. So that is on an order confirmation. But maybe I have something that I want the warehouse to see, or I have something on a quote that might be specific to them. And that information would go right here, unique message for the customer. And again, depending on which document you chose, that would appear specifically to that customer. Now that means you don't have to know Crystal. It means you don't have to write reports. It means that you can have customer specific messages quite nicely on any one of those documents through Spire. So I think that that's pretty cool. I think that that helps order processing. I'm going to jump into phases because that's where I think a lot of people perhaps misuse phases or don't quite use them to their full extent. So phases, in order to track orders, we understand that you don't sell everything the same way, and you don't necessarily sell it the same way to everybody. And again, as we said before, certain customers may have particular requirements in the order processing that you do in order for them to be completely satisfied and pay your invoice at the end of the day. And so perhaps you have a sales process that, you've got salespeople out there that can submit quotes. And so what you want to do is you want to say, okay, here's a quote. I've selected quote, pardon, let me pick that back up again and I'll just hit edit. I've created these phases, and you want to think about the flow of them and how they follow each other in sequence, and how they may need to be repeated or reprocessed, and what kind of documents are associated with that. And so I can create a quote plus. To me, that meant quote and it needs approval. It's a sales order. You can choose for these to happen on purchase orders or production orders. So phases can apply in all of those three areas. The description, of course, and a report template if you wanted a report template to be automatically generated when you were to hit next phase. So for example, in quote, this quote is created, but it doesn't need approval. We want a sales order to come up right away when we hit the next phase. So I'm gonna back out and show you exactly how that works. I'll just disregard this order. And I'm going to take the orders ready for customer to approve. So I still have one in here. And now this is pending the customer's approval for that confirmation of PO like we talked about. And when I hit next phase, it will toggle over and automatically pop up exactly what I had showed you before, the document associated with that. Again, this can apply to your shipping, your picking, your packing, your invoicing, your quotes to invoices, and not only are the stock reports available to you in Spire for that, but also custom reports that you may want. I'm going to get into a little bit of user permissions and general permissions that will help you set the foundation for these things. Most of you who are working in Spire might be saying, oh, this is nothing new that you're showing me, Katie, but the sales order permissions based on user, salesperson permissions, general stuff, and company settings make a big difference in terms of how your workflow and your order processing happen. So under edit and user settings, I'm going to go ahead and pick my own name here. I'm the only one in this database apparently. And I'm going to go over to sales orders right here. And some of the key permissions that you want to make sure are enabled or disabled while you're working in Spire and considering your sales order processes would be, the ability to allow edits on orders, to change phases. Okay, perhaps they only want you to be allowed to play with sales, bookings, standing orders. Maybe it's just quotes. Maybe your salesperson is only responsible for quotes, and you can limit their ability to only work with that. Another one would be, again, those phases. Are they able to increment the phases? Are they able to go from next phase to next phase? If you have somebody that's working in a particular aspect of order processing, they may not have the authority to go ahead and push that order to completion. Of course, we've got modify prices as well. That's a big one. In Spire, you'll get an alert that will tell you if you're selling something under margin. Do you want that person to be able to change those prices on the fly, or is that reserved for someone that has a bit more authority? So there's a lot of different features here. The invoice processing is there. Do you want them to be able to close orders, to edit anything? So spend some time looking at some of these. If you just toggle over them, you'll see a definition that gives you a little bit more detail as to what that functionality does for that user. Another area I want you to look at is the salesperson. This is different than sales orders. So the salesperson user permissions is something that's important. Do you want it to always default to a particular person? Should it always be orders that are Katie Griffin on the sales part of it? And then do you want to restrict user customer sales by salesperson? You may have salespeople who are processing orders that are only allowed to see their particular clients. And then under general, you want to perhaps decide which warehouse that person will be placing orders to. Perhaps they're not allowed to place orders from a different warehouse, and you want them always only to be ordering and processing from the Vancouver warehouse. Do you want them to be allowed to change which warehouse as well? So a lot of really great things there in terms of user permissions. And then the last thing I want to show you is in company settings here. And I promise folks, Harry and Sharon, I'm going to send it right over your way in just a second. Bear with me here. So in company settings, I want to go over to sales orders. And you want to make sure for those customer part numbers that are specific to the customer that I talked about before, that you have enabled resolve customer part number. Otherwise, that functionality will not work. Okay. Another area that you may want to look at is in terms of the processing and invoices. This will relate to phases quite a bit. And do you want people to work in batches? Right here is where you'll be able to enable batch posting in the sales order module. Do you want the phases to reset when a standing order is in place, like I talked about earlier? And so these are some of the general settings that are very important. And then the last thing is in the sequence numbers, I talked about colors, and colors are very important. And in my Spire, you might have seen in the sales module, I've got all these colors here that define what is a sales order, a quote, an RMA, whatever the case may be. And so you have the ability to do that in company settings under sales, and you can go ahead and pick colors to your heart's content. You can even make them your brand colors if you wanted. I'd put everything in the teal blue, but then I wouldn't know the difference between one order and another. So those are just some of the tips that I can touch on for you today. They're really foundational. There's so much more that we can go into. Contacts are super important in Spire. Definitely something that you want to make sure you are labeling correctly. Contacts are not necessarily who you're contacting outside of the organization, but they are also who you may be who you are working with within the organization. So your accounting department, your warehouse manager, your salesperson, these are all roles that allow for auto population and templates of emails and other reports that are coming out of Spire. So spend some time thinking about contacts. This all ties into quotes, standing orders, invoices, purchase orders, accounting, receiving. All of that is super important at a foundational level in order for integrations to read the data properly through the API, okay? So think about some of those foundational aspects. I wish I had more time to jump into stuff, but I've promised my friends at EDI some time with you guys. So Sharon, how are you feeling? You ready to take over here for a little bit?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to go and make you the presenter, and you tell me if you see that.
Okay,
We do.
we did.
Please let me know if you see our screen.
I can see your screen, guys. Go for it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the introduction, Katie. Like you said, Harry and I are with EDI Gateway, which is a Canadian EDI provider based out of Montreal. And we became a Spire integration partner last year. So today we'll be talking to you a little bit about who we are as an organization and touch a little bit about what EDI is, as well as talk about the EDI solution that we can offer the Spire user, which will also include a short demo of the tool itself. So just a little bit of information about who EDI Gateway is. We are a Canadian company, an EDI provider that was established in 1993. We are uniquely positioned to help businesses streamline operations, enhance supply chain agility, and seamlessly connect with new trading partners globally. We basically render the suppliers EDI capable and EDI compliant. We deliver customized EDI solutions tailored to the retailer and the vendor trading communities. And our solutions range from self-service web portals to integration to compliance testing and data exchange solutions. We are experts in API implementations to ERP systems, and we have collaborated with 3PLs to enable seamless system integration and real-life connectivity with trading partners. So as an EDI provider, we have been helping customers become EDI compliant and able to exchange documents with their trading partners. We basically simplify a very complex concept, EDI, from implementation to maintenance and to dealing with the diverse trading partners. Just a few stats about EDI Gateway. We exchange over 1 million documents and transactions yearly. We have over 7,000 trading relations, over 400 retailers that we support, over 700 satisfied clients, and over 3,000 active users, and we have over 32 years of experience in the industry. So our solutions range from self-service web portals to ERP and API to integration and file transfer, as well as van services. We actually have a data processing center where we do the work on behalf of our customers, and that's actually a fleeting solution that is rarely available today. We offer flexible and adaptable solutions that can fit every model of every segment of the supply chain community. We are able to accommodate non-traditional order management requests, and that's one of our unique value proposition. So I'll just give a small example, Katie, of a request that had come up for us, where traditionally a user would receive a PO or a sales order from their trading partner. But what we can do is actually allow for a multi-tier process where the user can create a PO in Spire to be transmitted back to the trading partner as an EDI PO.
Wow, that eliminates a lot of manual work right there. That's awesome.
Exactly. So we specialize in the retail industry and in e-commerce, namely the apparel, grocery, hardware, pharmaceutical, distribution, and manufacturing spaces. And we support over 400 retailers across these industries. We have a team of in-house developers to customize the software and solutions and tailor them to your specific needs and requirements. Our teams are on-premise and they are not outsourced.
Sharon, you recently attended the partner conference, and I think 2 of the people from your dev team I got to meet. And it is so nice when you know that the developers of software are there right with your company. It's so important. That's great.
Exactly, right up front and center. Another unique value proposition that we have that it distinguishes us from our competitors is our managed services and personalized customer care, all of which we offer at no charge. We have live support, rollout and onboarding programs. We offer a variety of different monitoring tools to track acknowledgements and errors, to validate maps and data. We have live webinars and training videos, even a live chat features that we've included on our websites and our web portals. And actually, Katie, this is where I want to just demystify a misconception that you and I had a brief discussion at the conference last month, where the misconception that we all came across in the industry that EDI is exclusive to a single EDI provider. So that's not the case, and I can tell you after 32 years, like we have 32 years of experience in the industry, and me myself have been around for 25 years working with EDI Gateway. That's not the case. You have, as a user, as a customer, you always have the option to choose an EDI provider that you want to work with or that you feel comfortable working with, and it's not exclusive to the retailer's EDI provider or to the industry.
Sharon, I think that's so important, and thank you for sharing that. So just to clarify and make sure I understand you correctly here, regardless of the trading partner you might be dealing with, so regardless of who Loblaws and who Sobeys and who Canadian Tire are doing their EDI with, that I can choose who my EDI provider is. I don't have to use the same provider as Sobeys or Canadian Tire or any of those businesses that I might be doing transactions with. Even if they think I have to, I can still pick my own EDI provider, and that will communicate with whomever they're using, right?
Exactly, that's correct. So
Great.
a lot of the retailers out there, some of them do their own EDI testing, their own compliance testing in-house, but some of them do outsource the testing to a third party. So the third party that has been mandated to do the testing, they have exclusivity over the testing. However, as a supplier to that retailer, you have the option and the ability to choose the EDI provider that you choose to work with. So for example, as an EDI provider, we work with the retailers and their third-party testing companies to manage the testing on behalf of our customers and render them compliant. But
Isn't it nice that businesses can choose which businesses they want to do business with?
100%, 100%.
And just to add to that, the great thing about working with a company like EDI Gateway, since we support so many retailers, and even if as a retailer we don't support that, we could build out, you only have to work with one EDI provider. You don't have to work with multiple ones. So it's much easier to build a good relationship with the two companies, and it's a personalized type of service that we're giving back to you and that we're receiving. So
I like a lot of what you guys are saying, and I know that there's some Spire customers out there that are benefiting from this already. I mean, we should have the ability to do business with whom we want to. Many of our Canadian companies are now wanting to work predominantly with Canadian companies, and that's okay. There's still freedom. Again, you're allowed to work with who you want to work with. So Sharon, carry on. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. And like Harry mentioned, we are able to streamline all the retailers under the same solution or platform. So you don't have to work with different parties and different solutions to accommodate. So let's just touch on a few foundations of EDI, like what is EDI? So quite literally, it stands for Electronic Data Interchange, and it's the computer-to-computer exchange of standardized business documents in electronic format between organizations. And these documents follow a strict formatting standards that can be read and processed without human intervention. So what we may not necessarily realize is that EDI meets us at different aspects of our lives and our day-to-day activities, such as scanning groceries at a local grocery store or a Walmart, or ordering things online on Amazon. And albeit very complex, it is the role of the EDI provider to try and simplify it for their customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The way the data appears in one system and how it comes out on a document and how that data needs to be entered into another system is the whole reason why this exists, right? So good.
Exactly. Okay, so why do we use EDI? Many large retailers and 3PLs require EDI from suppliers to ensure efficient supply chains. So it allows for a faster communication, it automates transactions, reduces processing time, errors, eliminates manual data entry, there's cost savings that are involved, improved accuracy and compliance and so forth. So traditionally, order management flow was, the retailer would create a paper purchase order and either mail it or fax it to the supplier. And then the supplier would receive that order and have to ship the goods and then create an invoice and mail it back to the retailer for payment. And all that would take up to like 7 days sometimes. And today with the EDI transmissions, the PO and the invoices can be transmitted and received within 24 hours. So it's a much faster turnaround time for payment as well.
And Sharon, I'll share just a quick story with you. I know of a customer that had not yet implemented an EDI solution, and they were doing business with a very large trading partner, and I'll just keep them nameless for the purpose of this public webinar, but a place that you all have done groceries at, let's just say that. And they had an invoice out to them that had not been submitted through an EDI process, and that invoice was worth $120,000, and it sat in the customer's AR for over a year because
Wow.
said large trading partner refused to pay said invoice unless it was submitted through EDI. So businesses can be at the mercy of their trading partners sometimes if they don't have an EDI solution in place.
Right, exactly. Because for the retailer as well, they have to have a resource to sit and actually manually enter the paper invoice that the supplier is sending back to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a vicious cycle, and that's why EDI is so important when trading with with the retailers. Just a couple of common EDI document types. An 850 is a purchase order, also referred to as a sales order. Typically, the retailer would send the purchase order to the vendor. An 810 is an invoice. An 856 is an advance ship notice that is sent by the supplier back to the retailer. It's a notification of goods being shipped. It's really like the breakdown of the shipment, with the content of each carton, each shipping carton, what's in the box and the quantities of each item in the box. 997 is a functional acknowledgement. It's a confirmation of the EDI document that was received. So this is for incoming or outgoing documents. The 997 functional acknowledgement completes the transaction flow of each document.
You guys must know all these codes off by heart, I'm sure.
We do.
Absolutely. And another great function of the 997 or the acknowledgement is when EDI transaction is actually sent or received. The acknowledgement is basically something like a registered letter telling you that they've actually received it and they're about to process it. So you can feel assured that the document was sent or received between your trading partners. Awesome. Without having to follow up with a phone call or an email.
Right. Saves so much time. Yeah.
Yes. So before we move to discuss the solution that we have for Spire, wanted to leave you with a couple of tips, like essential tips that will help you mitigate some of the challenges associated with EDI. So, EDI is especially important in retailer as well as distribution and manufacturing, and it helps streamline the supply chain operations, improve inventory management, and reduce manual processes. So first and foremost, understand your EDI requirements. Identify the documents that you need to exchange with your trading partner, if it's a PO, an ASN, an invoice, etc. Determine the EDI standard that your trading partner requires. It could be X12 or it could be EDIFACT. X12 is the EDI version that is used in North America, whereas EDIFACT is the EDI version that is used in Europe and Australia. And also clarify the integration needs with your ERP or accounting system. Secondly, choose the right EDI solution. Make sure that you identify and determine the right solution for your business that suits your business, your requirements, and your needs. It could be outsourcing to a third party. It could be an on-premise solution. It could be a cloud solution. Make sure that you always consider scalability, support, cost, and ease of integration. Third is ensure data accuracy and consistency. Be able to automate data validation before transmitting to be able to avoid errors, and also establish the workflows and the logs for tracking the documents. fourth tip would be prioritize security and compliance. This is key. Make sure to always use secure communication protocols and to stay compliant with industry standards in order to be able to avoid charges. And this ties in really well with the fifth tip, which is partner with a retail-focused EDI provider. Choose a trusted, experienced EDI provider that is able to help you not only onboard trading partners very quickly, but is also able to make sure that you are 100% EDI compliant with your trading partners, and that they are abreast of any new requirements or any new transactions that may come up for that retailer.
Those are great tips. And I think your 3 and 4 tie in really nicely to what I was talking about at the beginning of our time here today, right? Making sure that your naming conventions, the codes are consistency, your data is clean, it's not suffering from any kind of integrity issues. User permissions and company settings will also be affected, because Spire will always be your source of truth. Even if our friends are using EDI, that information ultimately is either being pulled from or pushed into Spire. So that your points 3 and 4, I think, are just, again, super great and really echo what I was talking about earlier. Thank you for those tips. That's great stuff.
Pleasure. So why partner with EDI Gateway and our Spire solution? So we have a very modern and easy to deploy Spire API solution. We have simple and quick trading partner setups. Takes us 24 to 48 hours to complete a setup with the retailer. We have knowledgeable staff. Like, our staff is very familiar with the business rules for every single one of the 400 trading partners that we support. They're very versed in the EDI requirements and the business rules. We have live technical support and in-house development team to address issues, troubleshooting, and corrective actions. Retailer compliance, very important. We have over 400 web modules, user-friendly, and all of them have been tested with the retailers and are 100% compliant. And of course, we're tailored to meet the requirements and the specific business rules of each retailer. The tools have been designed to meet your customer specific business needs. So as I mentioned earlier, we're very flexible and adaptable. So any non-traditional order management request, we can accommodate, and we can have a discussion, identify the requirements, define the scope of the project, and then evaluate what the process would be. Customers can commence trading operations prior to full API deployment, minimizing time to value. Basically, while we are setting up the API, the Spire API, the customer can be set up with the retailers. We have over 400 web modules that are available, so it's a very quick turnaround time to use the web portal API in the interim while the web portal while we set up the API
integration. So Sharon, just to clarify, and I think we're going to have to jump into the demo here because we've only got about 12 minutes left. So there is a web portal and then there is an integration, right? And so while you guys are working on the implementation for that integration, customers don't have to wait. They can start their EDI gateway journey by working through your web portal, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And it's all seamless and behind the scenes, and there's no disruption to the customer's business operations. Okay.
So bring it home for me, and then we're gonna hand it over to Harry.
So yeah, I'll bring it over to. Let's just skip a couple. Okay, here. So basically, we'll talk a little bit about WebGate, which is the tool that is integrated with Spire and resides alongside Spire. So it seamlessly connects the Spire system with external systems and enables the business to automate workflows, synchronize data in real time, and streamline operations. So it was built for retailer. It was tailored to meet the EDI requirements and business rules of each retailer. As I mentioned earlier, we have over 400 web modules that were customized for each of the retailers. And if there is a request for a retailer that we don't currently support, then we can develop the web module to support that retailer. And it doesn't take us more than a couple of weeks to do that. It's trusted by experts with over 32 years of experience. It's scalable and secure.
Okay, so if Canadian Tire says you got to do it this way, then you guys either already have it or you can do it, right?
Exactly. So I'll run through some of the key features that we've already discussed: the effortless configuration and the seamless API configuration. The portals also support ASN and label capabilities, so the user can actually generate an ASN data and the shipping labels directly from WebGate to ensure accurate shipment updates while meeting the trading partners' requirements and business rules. And of course, we have dedicated support. We have a team of technical support, customer support, all on premise, and they can be reached either by phone or by email or through the live chat feature that we have available. We believe in personalized customer care. We don't believe in a ticketing system where you have to call in and start a ticket and wait for someone to get back to you 48 hours later. We believe in being accessible and available to our customers as much as possible to,
So we call EDI Gateway, there's a real person there on the other end of the phone, right?
Exactly.
People love that.
Never sleep.
That's great.
Exactly. So I will pass it along to Harry. Harry will give us a short demo of the tool.
Perfect.
I'm just
Thanks,
gonna
Sharon. That was very informative. Harry, I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you. How are you guys? Thank you
Good.
for spending the time with us. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to give like a brief overview of what we do. We could always have another call, whoever's interested later on, and do a deeper dive into our solution. And as Sharon mentioned, understand what your requirements are to come up with the proper plan for you. So one of our main tools that we use with over 700 customers is an application called WebGate. It's a web portal that you could use on any type of device, preferably a desktop and or a laptop, so you have better visibility. What I'm going to show you here basically is receiving a demo purchase order or sales order from your trading partner, right? When that gets triggered and it gets sent to EDI Gateway, we'll actually take it, we process it, and we'll send a copy automatically via Spire's API into the Spire system, which I will show you. And at the same time, we also send it into our web portal, right? I'm going to use this example called CA, which is Canada Demo 90. And the trading partner is Gordon Foods. They're one of the largest food distributors in Canada and North America. So we basically receive this purchase order, right, in an EDI structured format that humans don't really understand how to read. Our translators, our people know how to take this data, convert it to a human readable report and or form within our web portal, the same way that Spire does it within their sales order management system. So in this scenario, we basically have 3 items, right, which you see here, which was imported to WebGate. I'm going to open up the the Spire application, and you'll also notice I have CA Demo 90 already in their sales order window. If I double click on it, it will open up the actual sales order. And you'll notice that there's 3 items here. And we just basically took the data so you don't have to key it in or do anything manual, and ensure that there's consistency not only with the data, but there's no errors because the data automatically came from the trading partner, okay? So I'm just gonna close this window. In the workflow for Gordon Foods, as Sharon mentioned, each retailer has their own workflow. Even though most retailers will have a purchase order and an invoice, they might want to have the workflow a little differently. In this scenario, Gordon Foods needs something called a purchase order acknowledgement, meaning that when they receive the purchase order, they want to ensure that the supplier will be able to fulfill the order completely. If there's a change in quantity, price, or if they don't have the item in stock, they're able to automatically make the change and send back this acknowledgement so the retailer will understand what they're expected to receive. So what I'll do here is we have a little document action window throughout our whole application to make it very seamless. And depending on the retailer, you'll only see the options for that retailer and what you were allowed to do. So we take away the guessing game and things that you might not know what to do. It's automatically presented to you on this screen. So I'll click on create order. You'll also notice that most of the information is filled out because we received the purchase order, sales order already from the customer. So I'm just going to put in a date, right? I'm just going to go over to what I want to do. Like, it's called an acknowledgement type. So I have an acknowledgement type where I can make a change. I could send with no change, meaning I've accepted the order, or I could actually reject the whole order and the order is actually canceled. In this case, I'll just do a change. I'll go over to details, and what I'll do here is I'll just delete an item in WebGate. So I'll click delete item. It will ask me if I'm sure if I want to delete it, and you'll notice that the status changed to deleted. I'm now going to save the document. So what's happening right now in the back end is our server is communicating with Spire to send them all the changes that we've done to the sales order. Just give it a minute, please.
Things always take a little longer when a GoToWebinar is running. The bandwidth that it occupies is crazy.
Yes, so now it says your order has been saved as valid. And when we mention valid is we build in all the compliance and all the rules. So we won't allow you to send data that's inconsistent or not allowed by the retailer. I'll just go over. I am, as Katie said, on the demo machine. And it's funny that Katie mentioned we also use colors for important information, like when an order is due or overdue, we'll actually present that to the end user. Yeah, just going to do a send again to make sure it was sent out. Yes.
Okay.
Acknowledge has been sent. So our process, there's a 30 to 60-second cycle where we actually pick up the document, we make the conversion, and we'll send it off to Spire, and we'll also send it back to WebGate. So that's why there's usually a 30-second delay. If I do refresh, give it a moment. You'll notice that the order just showed up as 090. If I click on here, you'll also notice that line 1 and 2 on the right status says accepted, and the last one it says deleted. If I now go back into Spire and I go back to the sales order and I actually double click on the order, you'll notice automatically that one of the items has been removed. I didn't have to go into Spire and delete it manually. Everything was done within WebGate, right? So it's not only time saving, it's very proficient on how it works. So what I'm going to do now in this scenario is that we've received the sales order PO. I've created a PO acknowledgement, and now I'm actually going to create an invoice to close the cycle of this transaction. So in WebGate, I will click on create invoice. Once again, most things are filled out. Anything that you see that is actually closed is basically read only, so we don't show it to you, but you have the ability to open it up to make the change. I will call this document invoice document 777. So this is a temporary invoice number because once I save it and it sends it back into Spire, it's actually going to pick up the actual invoice from Spire. As Katie mentioned, anything that goes in or out of Spire is correct by Spire standards.
And it'll respect the sequential invoice numbering that exists in Spire.
Correct. Let me just fill out Canada. Today I'll choose Ontario. I'll calculate the terms. I'll go over to details. You'll also notice here on the invoice, there's only 2 items because when I did the purchase order acknowledgement, I deleted one of the items. I'll go to summary. I have to fill in the weight because it's a requirement. And as you notice, anything that's required, you'll have a star. So if you do not fill it out properly, it will actually give you a message saying it cannot be filled out, but it could save it as a draft. I'm now just going to do a save. Just give it a minute. Your invoice has been saved as valid. Press OK. Let's just do it. It's doing its thinking. I'll go over to pending. Now here's the cool part. So in the document number field, the invoice number, as I mentioned, is saved as 777. Once I do a send, and I press yes, it's been sent. Just give it 30 seconds to do the cycle. Pardon?
It was sent to the retailer
Yeah, it was sent to the retailer.
and just.
Yeah. This is our processes in the
Look
background.
at that. There's the invoice. I saw the invoice number pop up there.
Yep. I'm just waiting for it to pop up here. So.
I like that it gives little confirmation messages like that, Harry. That's really helpful.
Absolutely. So you feel assured that, the document.
It's happening. Yeah.
Right. Give me one more.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, it's going to take a while, but what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go back to Spire. I'm going to go into the sales history, because if it actually processed it, which it did, you'll notice that it moved it from your sales over to your sales history. If I double click on here, this is your invoice. It's done. I didn't have to key anything into Spire. Spire accepted it as valid data, and that cycle is basically complete, right?
Yeah. That's great. So those phases that we talked about can actually be managed in your web portal and your web gate, right? So you still have to think about your processes and how they're compliant to the trading partner, but you don't have to toggle back and forth. Harry, you're just toggling between WebGate and Spire to show everybody.
Yeah, in real life, you do everything in WebGate. Everything will be pushed and pulled into Spire. I'm just demonstrating that the data that we receive in WebGate is identical to the data that we send into Spire. The last thing I just want to, show, which I love showcasing this to all our customers or potential customers, is we also create a dashboard. It's kind of like analytics, but this is your weekly snapshot, your daily snapshot saying, you have new orders that you've received. There's invoices ready to send, which is important, where, as Katie mentioned also in her example, you want to have your cash flow as soon as possible, so you could order more goods to sell more goods in the future. So we tell you like what is ready, what is not ready. If there are errors or alerts, this is a very proactive system. At the same time, we have a notification module that will actually send you either an email or an SMS message saying you have new documents. So you don't have to log into the system to go look for something that's new. You'll be notified ahead of time. So
that's great. Harry, I took a screenshot of this dashboard. It's the first time I see your dashboard. It's beautiful, and I love that you'll get notifications, because the reality is that people are so busy working in their day-to-day that to constantly be logging in and checking something is just not productive, and it's not really a sustainable model for people to get through their workflow, right? So guys, thank you so much. That's fantastic. I really appreciate you. I know we've totally run out of time, and we could talk about this stuff forever, right?
We're so excited about it. So it's great.
I know it's really a beautiful solution. And like I said, you already have some Spire clients that are benefiting from the integration through Spire's API. For those of you who don't know, an API is an application programming interface. The long and short of it is it allows programs that are written in different code to talk to each other and for data to be able to move seamlessly in one language. Okay, and so that's essentially what it is. And the folks at EDI Gateway have done such a great job of integrating into Spire. I can't wait to go visit that one client, that one particular client that we have, and fill my belly with their good stuff. So thanks so much, you guys. I love working with you. It's so nice to see you. Folks, if you've joined us today, you know that again, this is a series of podcast style webinars that we are hosting for you. Today we had our friends at EDI Gateway. We will be also hanging out with TerraCore, the folks at TerraCore, on the 26th of June. They specialize in customer portals, vendor portals, e-commerce solutions. We're also going to spend some time with the folks at Go Integration in a few weeks. They're going to be talking about workflow and automation, so triggering different workflow processes with little human intervention as possible. Okay, so I hope that you'll join us for some of those webinars that we have. And if you'd like to see us in person, and even our friends here at EDI Gateway are going to be joining us for the Montreal open house. We have 5 open houses that will be taking place this year. Winnipeg, Langley, BC, Montreal, where we'll see Sharon and Harry, Mississauga, and London, Ontario. Open houses are a full day of Spire. So we've got a year in review. We'll share with you what's come out in Spire over the last year. We'll share some helpful tips, set up, and we'll also hear from some of our integration partners that will join us in different cities. And we'll have a dive deep of Spire in the afternoon with some of my colleagues, either our product information specialist or quality assurance director. We'll all be there to give you more Spire. The cost is $75 to attend for the day. You walk away with training, you walk away with insight, you walk away with opportunity, you get to talk to us at Spire in person, and we feed you quite nicely as well, because it is a full day. Right? That's important. You want to eat, right, folks? So I want to just also sign off with one last thing. You know, and I know, regardless of what business you're in, that the most powerful referral is a happy customer. And in the role that I have here at Spire, I get to look at where all new customers come to us from. It is predominantly word of mouth. So much so that we've created our customer referral program for you. So if you're not yet a Spire customer and you were referred by a Spire customer, then you should be signing up. You can find this webpage under our Contact Us menu. Sign up, let us know who referred you. We'll give you a discount on your purchase of Spire, and we'll give the Spire customer a discount for referring you on their software assurance. So we'll be compensating you for spreading the word. Folks, thank you so much for spending time with us here today. My name again is Katie Griffin. You can email me at kgriffin@spiresystems.com. I have the contact info for our friends at EDI Gateway. They are on our website as well. You can reach them there. You can also reach out to the folks at EDI Gateway by contacting your Spire partner, who, if they did come to conference, they've met these fine folks and have had conversations with them, and they're ready to explore how EDI Gateway can help enhance your Spire experience. So thank you so much, everybody. Harry and Sharon, I know you're not too far from me, but we had to connect on the web, and I hope I get to see you in person while I'm here in the city. It's such a pleasure to work with you guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Same with you.
Thank you, everybody. It was fun. Yeah, these podcast style webinars are fun. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and be well. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.